July 1st. Any corrections that you note?
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay,
Second.
discussion. Have a motion to, made and a second to approve the minutes from July 1st meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Public input.
I had
Okay.
something.
All right.
I had a couple of complaints this week, mostly around the code enforcing. One of the complaints was out of frustration that neighbor is in violation, has been sent a letter and nothing happens. The other complaint was they felt that the code enforcer maybe was stepping outside of his bounds a little bit. And actually, I think in both of these cases, the complainants were in the right. And it's not a perfect system by any means, but it's something that we do need to address and work on a little bit.
And I concur with that with regard to maybe just moving forward. One of the two that you called, I went and checked out both of them, and the one is, you know, where we need to go from here. It has to be, if anybody lived, you know, closer in proximity of that place, it would be, I think, same concern.
Yep.
We'd have. Okay, thank you for that.
Didn't we
Yeah.
at one time talk about, is it in the ordinances now? I think it's in the ordinances now that that's up to the police department, and we talked at one time about taking a look at that.
We
And I
did
don't-
discuss it.
I don't know that we ever did any action on it, but I know we talked about we needed to do it.
We did discuss it when it was at that time it was in direct relation to, grass lengths. And that's where we kind of talked, made the discussion of city employees reporting the grass stuff to Ron and any city employee, whether it was police or whatever, and then Ron was going to be a contact person to kind of get some of them lots put in order. And if it's something that we need to amend and rethink, if it's not happening in practice. Obviously, this year is a bad year, and some people are using that to their advantage as far as letting their lots get severely overgrown.
So what is our policy when we have sent somebody a letter and they refuse to come into compliance? What is the next step? What are we supposed to do?
After so many attempts have been made, the city will abate. Then the city will just take over and go and make it in compliance and charge it to the homeowner or assess it to their taxes.
I think in this one instance, we're getting real close to that.
Yeah.
This has gone on the entire summer.
What is the charge for that?
Depends on what they're doing.
I assume it's an hourly rate.
No, wait, no, it's a set
If you
charge.
are mowing, it's a $200 minimum,
Yes. And then so much per hour, right?
so much per hour.
How much per hour is it at? Just so the people know.
I can't recall that being specified.
It is, it's in our fee schedule. Man hours is $75
Right.
per hour, and a mower is $50 per hour. Any equipment damage done in the process is to be determined. Minimum of $200.
So if it takes an hour to do it, then it takes $200, and if it takes an hour and a half, you charge for the whole 2 hours, correct? 200 plus then
Mm-hmm,
the charge after that.
yep.
Okay, just wanna
Okay.
make sure I write that.
Okay,
Thank you.
So do we need to talk about possibly having some extra meetings on code enforcement as far as structure and also ones that we're gonna take enforcement action on? just so when enforcement does get taken, then when we're asked questions about it, a few more people are just in,
That, I think that'd be a good idea. I mean, Cindy's been emailing the list and,
yes.
I mean, I go through it whenever I get it, but I think it'd be nice to maybe get together and say,
At least
hey,
on the
these-
ones where we're
these have been on
starting to
here
take.
for this long and
Yeah.
now it's time to
I-
follow through with.
And I'm fine with that process on like the typical ones, but once it gets to more of the extreme level of
Yep.
abatement or something like that, I don't know what committee that would fall under.
We
Well,
don't have a specific
well,
committee
the
for that.
we kind of decided that one night
Yeah.
to,
Well, then do we have a beautification committee?
yes, and
I
that's
would
what
say
Dale
that
and
that
I,
would probably classify under that committee,
Which
Yeah.
one?
beautification.
Beautification.
yeah, it's Dale and I.
I have a
'Cause-
question.
Go ahead.
So if someone isn't in compliance with their grass, the city's just gonna go in and mow it and send them a bill, is that
They still get warnings.
what?
They still get warnings ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, correct. But if you're going, if it's something else with the beautification, something in their yard or whatever, and they get a letter from the code enforcer and they don't comply, how is the city going to,
So anytime that there's any issue, the way I understand it is there's several warnings that you get before it gets to the point that we're talking about as far as, you know, you don't get one letter and then we're sticking to the book on whatever it is. If it's you get 7 days, we're not coming in on the 8th day type of deal. It's the habitual offenders that get the letters, toss them with their junk mail and never touch them. And some of these issues have probably been brought up several times over the past years.
Yes.
So, I mean, those are the types of things where, as the way it's been going, they can because nothing gets enforced to that level. Or I'm not saying nothing. I don't want to say that because that was before my time. But by practice, they're not going to get punished for that, even if they get the letter. So they're going to keep going the same way. Well, in some extreme instances, some things have to get done.
I understand that, but then do we have something in our code things that says we can enforce that if they don't comply with,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We do
yeah,
have-
Yes.
yes.
okay. So then that would that contend like our lawyers would then send them a letter and then they would reply or?
That's why we've hired the code enforcement specialists. They are up to speed on those laws and which parts of the International Property Maintenance Code we had to adopt in order to enforce those.
Okay,
So they are still the ones that send out those letters and gauge a timeline on when to abate. I did request that before they do abate, they make sure we know and maybe even have the council approve that before it happens. But we did hire them to do a job.
right, okay.
And all of this stuff is in section 24 through section, or excuse me, 24-1 to section 24-121 is the entire scope of our nuisances. The abatement process directly is 2473. Well, I guess there's an abatement in each section, whether it's general weeds, Dutch elm, property management, and sanitation are the sections. So there's an abatement listing in each one of those sections. And it's right here in the overview of chapter 24, if we want to get real technical on,
I just was
No.
wondering how that would work.
yep.
Other equipment is needed besides a lawnmower or something, that's all in the fee schedule as well.
Yeah.
Fine.
And if it happens to be a project that the city has to hire something done to fulfill an abatement, the city will pay it, but then they turn around and charge the homeowner. Or assess it to taxes.
Okay.
So what if somebody shoots them when they come on our property?
Doesn't,
And that's why police is listed as the one to enforce this. That's why that's in place. There's a lot of room from the time you get a, hey, can you fix this, to, we're gonna take action. I mean, there's a huge, that we can, it's fluid. It shouldn't be as fluid as it is sometimes, but sometimes you just need common sense, like, well, no, that's not necessarily so bad, and then there's some times where, okay, it's getting a little out of hand, we need to get this fixed.
and there are times when, when a property owner is notified that, you know, they're given a time frame, and in most cases, it's taken care of, you know, and, so-
And or appeal, I mean, you know, and or
Yeah.
appeal to the city council, like, people that reached out to Will and me and other people that have been notified recently
Yeah.
on stuff like that.
Okay. Any other public, yep,
Yeah, we were just kind of talking about complaints we had before the meeting started, and kind of decided we're going to try to get the Public Safety Committee together. We had an accident on West First Avenue way up north. I think there's a need for more enforcement along that road. And we've had complaints about our city police department sitting on the outside of town, half mile, 3/4 of a mile out. I've had a number of them, and also complaints that when they do pull people over, they block some business entries. So we're gonna have a meeting probably next week and discuss that. We may have something for you next meeting.
and part of the, you know, I think there's two folds to, well, more than that sometimes with regard to, number one, with regard to the expectation, but also in some cases enlightening us to, you know, procedures and things of that sort. So I think those are good things to have, just as not only addressing a concern, but also being informed of certain things that we may not be aware of as not being in law enforcement too. So, okay, thank you. Any other public input? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Tara's here with representing On Hand as far as the quarterly review.
Hey, I'm Sarah Yost with On Hand Development. Just here to update you quarterly review. Right now, we started with revolving loan funds that we have. We currently have 6 loans in the revolving loan program for over $484,347. And then we'll have another business adding to that as well soon here. And these businesses employ several employees in Han County. We also have the recruitment program. And this program helps Han County find full-time help. So then we have set aside $15,000 for the program. It's a first come, first served basis, which we still have money in there. People have been using it. We match the amount requested by the business up to $750. Make the payments in 3 checks, and then the employee must be employed for 1 year and hired and work as a full-time employee. In the event that the employee doesn't fully fill the contract, the employee pays the employer, and then they then pay back On Hand Development. So, we currently have enrolled 3 new employees in Han County at 2 different businesses. So they're at least using the program. So if you know of anyone that could benefit from that, let me know. I'm also Marilyn from the Department of Labor and Regulation has contacted me, and we're gonna look into some services that could help our community regarding the workforce, since it's so hard to find people. So hopefully we can look into some different things for that. Business visits, we talked about, you know, some problems, there's success stories, retention, succession, and a lot of things I'm hearing is they don't have enough help, so working on that. Housing, working with the city and engineers on the Rustler lot. For the beautification, I've helped about 4 businesses with new signs recently. We have the flowers on Main Street, they were put up in May, and I wanna thank the businesses and volunteers for taking care of that. We've had plenty of rain this summer, so that's helped them out probably a little bit. Community center has been very busy. We had 2 big weddings that were booked in 2024 so far, and then they've called us several times now, and they're booking them out for next year already, for next summer, so that's a good thing. We had 2 celebrations of life services in the gym. We had several graduation parties this spring, and they're also booked out for the next 2 years for graduation parties, so that's good as well. We had birthday parties and auctions, had a lot of business meetings, a lot of ag meetings, different kinds of meetings there. The Friendship Center, I gotta go back to, it's been, with basketball camps and 4-H gatherings, and of course, we let kids use the facilities for free, so we've had cross-country camps, we've had all kinds of camps, basketball camps, and then in the fall and spring, we have, any of the kids that they need to use it for practice, we let them use it for free for practice, so. Let's see, the Friendship Center, it's also a busy place most days, they have lots of gatherings, playing cards and shooting pool and stuff like that, so they're pretty busy down there. I'm working on trying to get it used to be called the Welcome Wagon, I know you guys probably know that, and I wasn't here then, but I'm working on trying to get something like that going again. I've talked to, the park, city park, and they want a brochure that tells about Miller, so then when they have people come stay, they can give them that information, and then they'll know where to go for food or whatever. So I'm working on that, and I'm gonna work with some of the businesses, I'm gonna see if they wanna participate in it as well, just to put anything they want, if they wanna do coupons or whatever, gift cards, whatever you wanna do. The Delta Dental Bus will be here next week. There's actually gonna be a dentist this time instead of just a hygienist. So what they'll do is Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning, they'll do cleanings, and then the dentist will be there. And if they need further work, then they'll do that Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday and Thursday. So that's kinda how they do it. So if you know anyone that'd like to get signed up, we still have a few spots left. And On Hand did sponsor that event. It's $3,000, so then the kids don't have to pay for it, so it's free to kids 0 to 21. Just the last thing, I was accepted into the Leadership South Dakota program, and they meet once a month, starting in September, and I was sponsored by Dakota Resources, so I didn't have to pay the fee for that, so I think it'll be really good for building leadership and critical thinking and public speaking skills. I think that's all it is.
That's a very good program.
Yeah, we schedule it for the next year every time they leave, so I wanna make sure and get that every summer, so that it works out for them, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any
Questions or-
questions for Tara?
Sounds good.
Tara, I appreciate this too, because, a lot that On Hand does is not fully made aware to the public, and this is a good opportunity for them to, be informed as just how active you are and some of the things that you do that they may not be aware of, so, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me, I have one comment.
Sure.
At the county budget meeting, they're thinking of cutting your budget by $10,000. So I didn't know if everybody here was aware of that.
Yeah.
With the county being so far over budget and stuff, they're having to really clamp down, and her budget was one of them that was looked at being cut, so just so that everybody's aware that
Yeah.
that could happen.
Yeah.
11,900 something.
Yeah.
Just let you know.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor's Park, Party in the Park.
Well, thank you for giving me the time to speak with you tonight. This is very much a work in progress, but progress is being made. What we are doing is we're doing this in memory of Father Paul. Father Paul organized an end of the summer party in the park last year. The last Saturday before Labor Day weekend. There was barbecue and bounce houses and stick horse races and that kind of thing. And he was very much in charge of it, and several other churches, including the Baptist Church, participated in that. When Pastor Hoffman and I visited him when he was in hospice earlier this year, he asked us if we would continue on with that, and we agreed to do that. So what we are looking at doing is replicating what he did, and hopefully turning it into a community tradition. St. Anne, if we give credit where credit is due, Deanne, the Secretary just having a party in the park the afternoon, and this would be August the 24th. Once again, we will be serving food. There'll be a love offering taken up, and anything that goes, any amount over the cost of the food and other expenses will go toward a designated charity. And we would like your blessing and your permission and your help in one aspect, and that is Father Paul talked to Ron Hopteaser last time, and he did some serious spraying down there prior to the event to keep the mosquitoes down, and it worked. So that's what I'm asking, if we can use the park on the 24th, the afternoon of the 24th, or technically all day on the 24th of August, and if arrangements could be made to spray for mosquitoes.
I'd make the motion that we approve the pastors party in the park to use the park and any such utilities, and then we can coordinate with Ron.
Yeah, I forgot about that, we will need to use plug-ins, have some use of electricity.
That's why they're there. That's why they're there.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, a motion has been made to support and to help facilitate the pastor's party in the park on August 21st. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank
Okay,
you very much.
thank you.
Thanks, Will.
24th.
24th,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, I know Jan wasn't up to the mic when she made the announcements with regard to on-hand in relationship to the county funding. And that's basically what she was alluding to, that the county's, what do I want to say?
Potentially.
Intentions to withhold or not contribute to on-hand economic development. So I don't want to be critical.
They're gonna give 20, but they're
Twen-
not gonna give 32.
20, okay. Okay, all right. So having said that, they're going to cut back then. All right. And anyway, just for those who weren't able to hear it, okay? Justin Heim from the ISG engineer is here to address us on capital improvement plan draft. Justin?
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Thanks for letting me come and speak. So my name is Justin Heim, civil engineer with ISG. I work out of our Sioux Falls office. Just a quick background about ISG. We are a multidisciplinary firm of engineers and architects that help pull together this plan. So tonight's just going to give you guys kind of a brief overview of what we have in front of us today, outline a couple next steps, and then talk about our next meeting on July 24th. So real quick background on what a capital improvement plan is. At the end of the day, this is going to be a planning exercise tool for us to use for the next 5 years. So looks at all the city public infrastructure, public facilities, puts that plan together in the next budget form. So this is a really good budgeting planning tool that can be used year in, year out. So real quick, just kind of the meat bones of our draft report. The first part of this report is going to be the existing conditions in the city of Miller. So looking at everything that you guys have in place right now, then it's going to go into some proposed improvements, and then there's going to be the 5-year plan with some appendices. As you guys can see, this is a little abbreviated version right now, as it's in the draft report. We don't have all the detailed cost estimates that are tied into this, so this report will get bigger, but I just wanted to try to keep focus on some of the critical information that we're talking about today. So, a few things I'll hit on is really on page 37. We have some of these projects identified already. The city of Miller has been really proactive in recent years on utilities, so you'll see there's a big focus more on the public facility side, in terms of the city hall, fire hall, et cetera. So we have a lot of projects listed here. Within this list, we have a project, the estimated cost, and then a description for the need of that project. So for example, the city hall, the two top ones would be a secure entrance and a roof replacement. There was a little conversation on secure entrance right away. So as everything begins to change in our crazy world, secure entrances and city halls are becoming more important. What that pretty much does is it creates a lobby area where you have to be led to the city hall. So it just provides protection for city staff, but especially if nobody's here. That way you don't have someone roaming around the city hall. Roof replacement during our facility exam, just noticed that there was a need for the replacement of the roof, as you can tell, some of the watermarks in the ceiling, some of those items. One of the things we're trying to make sure within this capital improvement plan is to do items in sequence two and find overlaps. One example I always like to say is our utilities, right? If we have bad water, bad sewer, bad street, we try to pair all those up together and mix and match of those. But for the city hall example, we can look at some interior improvements, but let's make sure we get the roof replaced first to protect the interior improvements that we do. So I can go into these in as much detail as you guys want, but really the goal of the meeting tonight is to put this in front of your guys' hands. Really what we'll be looking at the 24th is going more in depth of this. So as part of this capital improvement plan, I want to make sure that we sat down with city staff. They've been very great helping me give an input on this, but also get your guys' input into this plan as you guys talk to community members, as you guys see things. Bring those up and let us know, and we can get those worked into the plan. We're going to be looking at prioritization. That'll be the other big thing. At the end of the day, we're going to be filling out this 5-year plan right now. You see a plan, but there'll be all these projects, 5 years worth of spending in the future. Some of that's going to be based on what we feel are priorities, based on the engineering and architecture side. But really, it's going to come down to city council making some of those decisions on ranking those projects. We'll provide all the background information, and we'll work that into a budget. In between now and the 24th, we're going to have our planning team give us all of our preliminary financials. That way we can see about how many dollars we're working with every year that we can use for capital spending. That's going to help us place our projects within our year time frame. We're going to understand that some projects aren't going to be able to fit into a 5-year plan. It's just the nature of the beast. If we had unlimited money, we'd get everything done. But we're going to put that in the future category. Thing I always say, we want to make sure that we still document that within this report. We went through the exercise, we identified a project, we have a cost associated with it. Let's contain it within the report. If there are some funding opportunities that come up, things change in the plan, then we can reallocate that. We at least understand what that project is, what the cost is, and help us get that happening there. So I'll stop there because I've been talking a lot. Kind of turn it over to you guys. Any questions? Any expectations for the meeting on the 24th from ISG and stuff?
The one thing I would mention on page 38 for you guys to take into account, it's in the top. From the previous page, it says fire hall, but number 3, replace flooring. That has already been approved to, not all of it, I believe, just the main area. The office is still the same carpeting, but the main fire hall flooring has already been slated and approved to be installed. I believe it's been ordered and just waiting on arrival. Yep, so. It's not a big thing, but
Quicker than me doing projects for my wife, so.
just something,
Yep.
like I
No,
said.
And I appreciate that, and that's some of the input we'll want, get all these projects in. I know we have a lot going on here, a lot of projects, so it's that vetting process too, making sure it's accurate. At the end of the day, I always want to say, I want to make sure that this plan is for the city of Miller, right? ISG, we can come in here, we can recommend a lot of projects, a lot of solutions, but it's really your guys' community, and we want to make sure this is tailored to you guys, so.
Anything else for Justin? Okay, and as he did mention that there will be a special meeting of work session on Wednesday, July 24th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. So, okay,
Really, just real quick, the next steps will be that meeting, we'll have a little more refinement to this report. During that meeting, the expectation is that we get all of our projects and we get them prioritized, and then ISG will come back and we'll work on that final report. The following council meeting or council meeting after that, we can coordinate that. We'll come back with the final report for adoption. And then once we get the final report, you guys can adopt it and then get it into use.
very good.
Sounds
Anything
good.
else? Okay. Thank you very much. You bet.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for traveling.
This
Yes.
is a really nice report.
Item number 4, the 2025 budget planning process. That's coming around coming up on us really quickly. I was happy, I think, last year, the way we got everything done in a timely manner. Moving forward, just something to think about as far as the committee process. You want each of the individual committees to hand the departments, the finance committee to take charge of that, or I guess that's what we're gonna direct the department heads to start submitting their budgets. So I guess I'm looking for input and direction, so we, continue not only what we want to do, and if somebody wants to change it later on, but we understand the process that's going to move forward.
The department heads can maybe say how they liked it, but I thought it went really well last year
I
where
did too.
committees met with the heads. And they're very considerate on when there was overlap of members, where you have 2 of the 3 members
Yeah.
on one committee. Once that was done, they'd step out and the third one would come in and then the next department would come in, when applicable. But I thought the way we did it last year was very well and good.
Okay,
Thought it worked well.
I did too. Okay,
It's fine.
just
No problem
so,
doing that.
okay, just so we're all aware of that, and that's coming up real quick with regard to proceeding with next year's budget.
It's a good process to get going early, and then also it gives the committees and the department heads the ability to see any problems on the horizon coming up to our second half of the year as well.
And I think between each of the department heads and the finance office too, it gives them ample time to, work out any questions or concerns or with regard to that too, so, okay, and, all right, good, all right. So we'll get them, have the department heads, I'm sure they've already started with regard to next year's budget, but, and then start looking at when we can get together to proceed with them. Number 5, lifeguard substitute wage in hours.
So Sydney had texted me last minute, gosh, when was it? 2 weeks ago, maybe? If she could have Aubrey DeHai fill in. She had not been hired by the city, but she's still certified lifeguard. So given the situation, it was only an hour and a half that she was missing someone. I said, yes, go ahead. I contacted Gail later as head of the personnel committee to decide what we're going to pay her. Last year, she was hired as a floater and she had a CDL, so she fell within that 10% increase for seasonal. But then this year, we approved the resolution based at the bottom of that resolution. It wasn't just for seasonal, it is now just for lifeguards. And if you have a WSI, then you get that 10%. So basically, I didn't really know for sure what her wage per hour should be. If we just continued the way we always had in the past, given that she has a CDL, she gets the $16.04 per hour. So that's what we went ahead and paid her, but we do still need motion to approve that. And then Sydney did ask if we could use her for private lessons as well. So since she's short on certified guards to give private lessons, because she has so many new ones, I said yes. We still want to provide that service. But I just wanted to make sure that we got it approved by the board.
And I've
To pay her as
suggested
an
to her that we
employee.
pay the 1604.
04. Yeah.
Beings, we were kind of in a bind there, and she was willing to help out, so I thought that was worth something.
Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion that we pay her $16.04.
I'll second that
Per hour.
motion.
Discussion. Okay, and the wage is based on not only past experience, but also her CDL with regard to that,
Yes.
okay? Motion has been made and seconded to hire Aubrey DeHai as a substitute lifeguard and also utilize for lessons at the $16.04 an hour. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. On pages 4 and 5, you'll see the NECOG agreement, and And I think the one thing that's, stands out obviously is the 7,500, just more or less than aware of it. It's compensation to the district for the above services shall be made in a one lump sum payment in the amount not to exceed $7,500 and shall be based upon the following schedule. And I think those schedules haven't changed from the past. Have they? I didn't see any difference in anything. So it's just more or less the agreement we have with NECOG and based on the monetary amount.
I'll make a motion to re-enter into our agreement with NECOG again.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion is made and second to enter into the NECOG agreement for the, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. On page 6, you will see an updated investment policy, and basically what happens, South Dakota codified law has changed the second part of it. The first part, with the authorized financial dealer and institution, we no longer invest or have money in the Wells Fargo Bank, and that's why that is excluded. And the terms for the next one, as far as interest earned, agency has been stricken, and the custodial has been implemented, where the interest earned from the investment shall be credited to the respective fund except custodial funds. And that's just more or less a name, title change or a name change to that. So because of its investment policy, I would entertain a motion to approve the updated version of our investment policy.
I move to approve the investment policy changes.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, motion has been made and seconded to approve the updated investment policy as written. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
I move we pay the bills.
Okay,
Second.
second. I do want to make one statement, when I mentioned the county no longer, that's not criticizing the county. I did not want to make that, everybody, institution has to do what's best for them, and so that by no means was just more informative with that. So anyway,
We have a motion and a second.
To pay the bills.
oh, pay the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. I shouldn't have interjected before. That was, all right.
If we were upset, we would have called.
I know. We wouldn't have got out of here without, yes, that part, so
I move to adjourn.
Second.
we are adjourned.
It's 7:39.
That's even what my phone says.
You know, when I seen that.
Must be right. Satellite don't lie.
Yeah. No, I did not.
Trying to get it.
Everything we went over with that guy,
That's what we got
when he was up here.
granddaughter.